In that case, I will call this meeting of the Darien Housing Authority to order. Present with us tonight are Commissioners Peter Bigelow, Susan Vogel, and Jane Matthews. Teresa Bigelow is with us, Todd McClutchy is with us, and several guests. First item on the agenda, we have the minutes of February the 26th. The chair will entertain a motion to approve those minutes as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Minutes of July 24th. July 24th, 2018. These are minutes that showed up.
Not approved on the website. So
Somebody was looking through some old stuff. Kathy Morgano?
Yeah.
And they noticed that we had a set of minutes that didn't appear as on the website as having been approved. So here they are. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of July 24th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. You have in your packet the Old Town Hall paid bills report. This is, as we would expect, getting smaller and smaller.
It's nice to see them.
Any questions, any comments? A motion to approve as submitted.
Approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item. Executive Director's Report. Teresa, have you got anything for us?
I have,
Other than
the write-off?
we have a write-off.
Yeah, I'm looking for the write-off. The write-off was, I know I put it in.
It's right here.
It's in
Oh, it's not mine.
$275.
Yeah.
Yes, so, and
I'm
$699.
sorry.
Okay, so what it is it's two residents passed away. One sent in a check, but the account was closed prior to the check clearing, and I contacted the family, and they're not gonna pay. And the second one was, the family paid just about everything under the sun, and they're done. So they're small amounts, they're not a lot.
Total like $900.
Just so everybody knows, in your packet you have an actual, the actual
Right.
statement, which gives
Okay.
information that is not for public consumption.
Right, that's why I didn't say the name.
Yeah.
Correct.
I will
Just want everybody to know.
Do I have a motion to accept the write-off of the two tenants totaling 900 and some odd dollars?
$699 and $275.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, done. Right along.
$974.
What else
I
you
didn't want to do
got
that if I had
going,
to.
Teresa?
That's all I have.
Anything else?
That's it.
No vacancies, no.
Everything is
Yeah.
moving along
Yeah.
as planned.
Moving right along. Old Town Hall redevelopment, Mr. McClutchy. I'll let you start this one.
Sure. Everything is progressing well over at the site. Demolition of the buildings is complete. They're working on doing some earthwork and crushing some materials so they can prepare with some of the underground utility and infrastructure work that will help get the buildings constructed. So things are
done around the flagpole.
yes.
Yes, I noticed that.
While we're on the subject
Like you and him, a lot of things.
And a couple of trees.
of the flagpole, the intention is to move that flagpole either Thursday or Friday of this week.
Okay, good, because that was one of the old
Yeah.
business items.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
waiting
Yeah.
for good weather. It's gonna take some energy to do this, and we didn't wanna be out there in the cold. So now that the weather's warming up during the day, it is our expectation, we're gonna take a look at doing that. Now, to that end, just so everybody knows what's going on, we have somebody, a local resident who owns a company who has offered to do the work for us. We have a location at the cemetery. That position has already been cleared and leveled, and there's a concrete pad there to put it on. the unknowns, we have no idea how that flagpole was secured to the base or how the base was secured to the ground. We won't know that until we get there and start trying to move it. We think that the base was simply cemented to some kind of a concrete platform in the ground, and if we gently nudge it with the appropriate equipment, we can break that loose. As I said at our last meeting, there are no guarantees here. We have no idea what kind of condition that flagpole. We're reasonably confident that the monument will survive without any problem. But when we pick that flagpole up and go to lay it down, anything could happen. Our number one concern is the safety of the people on site. We don't want anybody to get hurt if the thing collapses. And then the last issue is to drive it through town. Is going to require, it's going to go slow because we want to rush this. And I will discuss with the police department tomorrow whether or not, ideally what I would like to do is simply give the flagpole an escort that will warn traffic to stay away and slow traffic down behind it. That escort can be accomplished by, at no cost to anybody, by using a fire engine. And geez, I'm
Just so
gonna
happy
I
to
happen
have
to know somebody
somebody
who
who
can
has a
drive
fire
that fire engine. So that's going to be our first cut, but I got to get permission from the chief and from the police to see that that's okay. If not, then we'll have to get the police to supply an escort, and there might be a cost involved in that. But it's got to go. We got to get it out of it. So if everybody's in agreement, we'll go ahead and get that taken care of later this week.
Absolutely.
All right.
And just real quick on that, we have passed this information along to Patty and Wayne, is that we need to get some correspondence with the town as to the plan that helps memorialize everything so it can be released from the deed.
The flagpole?
Yes.
We have that.
Oh,
And they have. There's an email.
I think they get an official document of some kind.
let's start with the email and then we can
We'll track it back
figure
from
out
there.
if we
But
can how much
that
further.
question has been asked and answered. We
Okay.
got, Kate Bush at Town Hall. We submitted the question to her that we needed a release because it's mentioned in the
Yep,
deed.
exactly.
Now, the issue that they raised on that end is that, in fact, there is nothing in that deed restriction that requires that that flagpole be maintained on the site. There isn't any language that says what to do with it. The only language in the deed says we must grant monuments and ceremonies an easement to get to the flagpole for maintenance. Obviously, if the flagpole isn't there, there's no need for an easement to get to it for maintenance, but there isn't. So they looked at that and said that it's fine, move it.
But I think we'll say there's an easement there so they could in the future put a new flagpole up on the property, so I think that's why they want to release.
We'll straighten that out, but again, that there exists, I'll go back and search for it, forward it to you, but there's
Yeah, that would be very helpful because the legal has not forwarded that along yet, so.
Okay. Yeah, we addressed the issue.
So I'm sorry, does that have to happen before the flagpole can be moved, or?
No.
No, okay.
It's before he can finish his documentation.
Exactly.
What you're talking about is.
With all due respect, we'll ask forgiveness rather than permission.
Glad we got you on tape saying that.
I have announced publicly at several Board of Selectmen meetings, at a meeting in the First Selectman's office, and at numerous meetings here, that flagpole is being moved. This is we're not breaking new ground.
I totally understand.
We're moving ahead.
So to finish up, yeah, everything is on schedule. Construction is progressing in its normal sequence. The closing itself is progressing well, and we expect to be able to hit our targeted goals for that closing.
Good.
So no bumps, or not fewer bumps.
Bump, the ambulance is still there. We've met several times with the first select woman, with the town administrator, and they just cannot seem to get off the dime to get that ambulance moved. We're not asking them to permanently relocate the ambulance. We're asking it to be temporarily moved during construction. that is now, it is a construction site. And there's fencing all around the site. We cannot lock the gate because the ambulance is on the site. And to me, that represents a significant safety issue.
And the police been notified, because they may have. some-
Absolutely, everybody who needs to be has been notified, and the police have been asked to, on their regular patrols, take a special look at the site.
So I don't really understand then what's the delay? I mean, they don't have another site to use, or,
If
Any question, do have a site.
if you would like a definitive answer as to what the delay is, you will have to speak with somebody from the Board of Selectmen. Because if you ask me for what the delay is, it is not a question I am willing to answer on television.
okay then. Yeah, okay.
Well, as it happens, the League of Women Voters has a elected officials night on Thursday, should anyone want to come down to the library at 7 o'clock and ask that question.
Thursday, 7 at my.
It's an issue that has to be resolved. And as we get farther into construction, it becomes a bigger and bigger issue.
Is that going to at all impede our ability to do any work on the site at some point? Like, will we have to stop or?
Not that I want to get into all of that, but yes, it will physically impede, basically all of our water goes right here and is all detained right in that corner. And that's basically where they park the ambulance. Not basically, it's where they park the ambulance.
Okay.
So it is, not that we want to necessarily change courses, but perhaps we can offer up a few other suggestions to mitigate.
I don't know, but it could very well be that there's a verbal agreement, but they have to get the documentation done with, or it's Maplewood, I believe is.
Mhm.
And so it could be just waiting for that, but I think the real issue is that there's a sense of urgency to get it done. And that should be conveyed to the appropriate parties, and even if that is something that maybe our attorney should convey to town attorney, saying that paperwork may be delayed because we need to get this resolved, we need to have them on site or whatever, there should be, use all avenues appropriate for communicating that concern.
I just feel like we've been talking about this for quite some time. It's not like it was a surprise to anyone that the ambulance had to move.
This is
So
not new.
I'm confused as to why, and it's not directly, I'm confused as to why we are still having a conversation about the ambulance being on site.
Again, go Thursday night and ask,
Well, I will be there because I will be
because it's.
welcoming everyone as programs.
Any other questions?
To the point where I was asked a question by one of the members of the Board of Selectmen at a funeral, and we discussed the issue. Now, I don't know how more urgent I can make something, okay? So,
I don't get it.
I
Well,
don't know.
I think, like, to Peter's point, maybe this is just we're waiting for all the i's to be dotted and the t's to be crossed.
Well, it would be absolutely catastrophic if there was an incident because we're waiting for
Yeah.
Don't disagree.
something that's been on the books for months.
Yeah.
That would simply be catastrophic. Okay, moving right along. Apparently, according to the agenda, we need a vote on this resolution for the bond. This is the final resolution and what we are authorizing in this bonding resolution. First of all, the chair will entertain a motion to do away with the reading of the resolution.
Motion to waive reading on the
Second,
resolution for
yes.
Housing Authority of Town Darien and bond issue.
So essentially what this, a whole bunch of whereas, this thing says we, the Darien Housing Authority, are going to sell up to $12 million worth of bonds to finance a portion of this project. We have discussed in the past that, in fact, it is our thinking, according to the budget document, that what we really need is $10 million, but we're authorizing $12 million so that if there's a glitch somewhere along the line, we got a little wiggle room. And that's what this bonding resolution does, is allows us to proceed with that. So,
Can I just ask one
yes,
question?
go right ahead.
Are we voting on all three of these things at once, or are we voting on them separately? How does that work?
that is entirely up to you, whatever your pleasure.
think
I
we should
would
do
prefer to have each
Okay.
one individually, just so there's no question that we know what it is we're voting on. So in that, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution,
Make a motion that we vote to approve
The bonding resolution.
The bond resolution as submitted.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. The next item is you're going to authorize me to execute a rider to the ground lease mortgage. Now, this one got just a little complicated. Typically, for these types of projects, and Todd, if I say something wrong, stop me. Typically, for these types of projects, we would exercise a mortgage on the project, that is, the building that we're building. And the lender would grant us the money based on that. The lender, in this case, has requested a lease not only on the building, but on the property. Now, the questions that we raised when this issue first came up, as we all know, the deed has a number of provisions written into it relative to what this property can be used for. And so we went to council and made sure that if we grant the lease on the property, that the easements and requirements granted in the lease supersede the mortgage document. What we did not, if the deed restricts the use of the property to low and modern senior housing, can't use it for anything other than that, under the requirement of the deed as the land was passed to the housing authority. If the mortgage supersedes that, that is, if we default on the loan, which, by the way, we're not going to do, but if everything went against us and we defaulted on the loan, as long as that deed restriction exists, it is in the interests of the lender to renegotiate with us, because the property essentially has no value to them. If they were to take possession of the land and were able to get rid of that restriction, then all of a sudden you've granted them a piece of property on the post road in Darien, which has a huge value. And the incentive to want to renegotiate the mortgage becomes much less. So we wanted to make sure that that was the case, and that is in fact the case.
Are the terms of these, the timeline, when I say term, the period of time that these are enforced, harmonized to be the same? So that
Is
if
it
we
the
pay
same
off,
like as the mortgage?
if
In
we
other
pay
words?
off the mortgage, both documents will be, will come to a conclusion, or are they separate so that we can pay off the mortgage, but then we still have a ground lease in effect?
Yeah, so this is the fee joinder. The bank is looking for additional security to make sure that nothing can break the contractual relationship between the owner of the property and the ground lease.
Yep.
So therefore, they cannot affect their mortgage.
Right.
And that's why this fee joinder is being required.
Right.
So you can't interfere between the two.
Right, but is it time, because I think the other one was something 2039 or something, I saw a date on one of the documents I was looking at. Is the date the same? So whatever the date ends up being, if it's 40 years, 20 years, whatever the date is, are they both going to have the same conclusion date, or could we be in a position where we, in 20 years, have paid off the mortgage?
Yep.
And so now, quote unquote, it's free and clear, except it's not, because there's a land lease, which is still in effect, where we would be.
Plus all of the
obligation.
other restrictions, which are the land use restriction agreements and regulatory agreements and everything else. But yes, we will be in that position in 18 years.
Yeah.
So this one, right, that we're being asked to sign, you're asked to be signed, will extinguish in 20 years, but all of the other restrictions will remain in place as part of other lender requirements and state approval processes.
Okay. I understand the stake, because if we have a property which is running strong and is a senior affordable housing property, I understand those. It's the guy with the dollar signs. I don't want to be in a position where future rents, future revenues that come off of the property suddenly have somebody sucking something out of them because there's a document that didn't time out the right way.
Nope, yeah, just the first mortgage lender, they're paid off in 20 years, so they're just out of the picture. Everyone else is not being paid, they're all soft mortgages, and the restrictions stay in place. So there's not an opportunity for the property to be repositioned for it to, extract a different value out of it.
All the current restrictions are enforced.
Exactly.
But this ground lease fee joiner goes away when the mortgage gets paid off, because it's tied to
The first
That's
mortgage.
someone in the public record. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
correct, yes. Okay, so what you are voting on is to authorize me as your chairman to execute this.
Well, that's,
Oh yeah, there's an exhibit C that says ground
Why
lease
is it
description
blank?
and it's blank.
So the actual physical descriptions, the meets and bounds, identifying the parcel will be added to that.
Before I sign it.
I called the attorney to make sure that it was supposed to be blank, and it was.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll add it.
Just for the record, so that there's no question about what's
Exactly.
going on here. We're not prepared at this stage, and I'm not prepared to sign. You're granting me authorization to sign it when I have a completed document.
Okay,
And I
that's
will
fine.
sign it when it's complete. The outstanding question that I have is that we are making every effort we can. The property, the parcel that the Darien Housing Authority has control over is actually 3 parcels of land, 719, 710, 701. We're trying to get 701 removed from this transaction. 701 is the actual antique house.
right.
And so we're saying that the ground lease, the lease to the property, rightfully should include all the property that's under construction, but should not include the part that's not under construction. Will we wind up getting that or not? It's still...
Oh, that's a must. But yeah, it's just being carved out. The house and the 6 spaces are being carved
Yeah,
out.
and I'm sure the documents that will be attached to this are going to be the current survey of the parcels that will be included, probably as built when you're done, so that's included in in all the documentation from the town authorities, not just the P&Z approval, but building department and everybody else, so they have a full package of what is on that site.
What we're trying to do is make sure that we have this approval so that when this thing is done, we can execute it immediately. We don't have to call an emergency meeting, et cetera.
So what we are approving is your signature on a document that you deem to be completely correct and complete.
That is correct.
Okay,
From the advice of our
Attorney.
On the
Right,
advice
okay.
of
got it.
several councils.
Okay.
Okay, so we all understand what we're voting for?
Yeah, so
The
I
chair
will
will-
make a motion that we vote to approve the authorization of the chairman of the Darien Housing Authority to execute the mortgage rider on the property in connection with the mortgage and the ground lease. When it is available, ready, and has been fully reviewed by our council.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving right along. Finally, we are going to vote now in public session on a subject we discussed in executive session, which is the change in the fee structure for the bond fee. Everybody, we went through all of this. Don't need to go through it again. I will entertain a motion to that effect. Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done.
Perfect.
Yeah,
And
good.
the record show that it was as has been discussed at a previous meeting, so we, in the resolution.
That is correct. Okay, anything else on Old Town Hall?
The only other thing I just want to mention is there are a couple of changes that are being presented. One being the guardrail, which we talked about last week, the other one, or last month. The other one we briefly talked about was repositioning of the dumpster trash enclosure area so it can make for easier pickup and delivery. Two newer ones we are adding 2 parking spaces, or looking to add 2 parking spaces to the overall count to help alleviate some of the pressures on the property. And it also gets us, by the way, to an additional handicap space closer to the entrance of the building.
And we're not giving up anything, creating these new parking spaces?
No.
Right, we're just reconfiguring.
It's all hard surface already,
Yeah.
and we're able to just re-stripe it and
Yeah.
adjust things.
I know the world changes across town, but I would think that the magnitude of those changes should be something that can be done administratively by Jeremy and staff,
Pretty much.
you know.
Presented, and it should be done administratively from there on out. Yep. And then lastly was relocation of a few vents. So exhaust systems that are running through the building. All of them could not be accommodated through the chimneys. So some additional locations through the roof and under gables is being presented to help get the building properly vented.
Will those have any visible impact to neighbors? Or are they being?
They are all hidden
Yeah.
for architectural purposes as well
I would
as
have
yeah,
thought so.
aesthetics.
Yeah. Good.
If you look at the drawings we started with, and look at the finished building, it will defy you to figure out where the changes were. It's a challenge.
Where's Wawa?
Our own architect would have a difficult
Something
time.
like that.
Yeah, most architects don't like to have something like
Oh,
that. It's an
yeah.
eyesore, so I would imagine it's gonna be well
This was done,
disguised.
Yeah.
this was done. Okay, anything else? Oh, I do have one other question. Somewhere I saw a document, an email, something was in that email that referred to the Royal at Darien.
Yes.
Oh, yes, the name.
So,
Forgot about that.
yeah, no, I didn't forget about that.
And
Winter
we
one.
did get something back, which I can forward to everyone tonight or tomorrow. So, yeah, naming looks to be going the route of the Royal at Darien. And it has like a similar logo that's playing off of this one. So I'll shoot that out and
Yes.
get everyone's feedback if
Yeah,
that's the route we want to go. Thank you.
I just didn't want it to go by and
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah,
all of
no.
a sudden, there it is, and everybody's, wait a minute, I know anything about that.
No,
Yeah,
it's
everyone
still
kept
in its-
spelling down, everyone kept spelling down.
Yeah.
R-O-Y-L-E is
ROYL,
Yes, it is.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
R-O-Y-L-E.
I've been here long enough.
Okay, that's it. Anybody else got any comments, questions, any questions? Moving right along. Old business.
I do.
Yeah, I
Go
do
ahead.
too. Go ahead, Susan.
I have a list. so
Me
don't-
too.
Go, go ahead.
So it seemed like there were a number of items at the last meeting we needed to follow up on. The lighting issue with Eversource, do we have a resolution?
Yes, and I brought this for show and tell. This is why the lights go off at midnight.
But I guess
They're on, there's been 4 separate work orders. They come, they go off at midnight, and they come on during the
but the lights are working now.
They
Because
are working.
The issue was that
There
they
is-
weren't working at night.
Turn it so the camera can see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So they are working at
They
night.
are working. They're
It's just they go
supposed
on
to.
midnight, so some people
They
think
go
they're
off
not
at
working
midnight.
because sometimes they come up at 2 o'clock or they.
Midnight to
before.
dawn, they're off.
Right.
Okay.
Got it.
I think we're looking at some additional signage for the buildings so that the numbers for each of the buildings were more easily identifiable for deliveries and people visiting. And I think Matt said that they were getting estimates on some of those.
Joe is in charge of that.
Joe, but that's in the works, not completed yet.
Correct.
In the
Okay.
works.
So do we have an idea of when we might, maybe next meeting, see?
Probably next meeting, yeah, because he was supposed to be on the phone when he didn't come today. So, yeah, maybe next meeting.
Okay, and also, this is probably a Joe item as well, the locks for the French doors.
He's already have worked with the resident who's ordering some of them.
Okay. And then I think someone was going to look into, I don't know if this was some of the local delivery trucks that were going the wrong way on the roads. We were going to notify, like, make some.
So we keep,
notification.
Teresa and I keep sending the emails for the tenants. We have not getting any reports of
No
any
reports in the
drivers.
last,
Yeah,
Okay,
since last meeting, we have gotten no reports of.
I'm gonna say 4 weeks we haven't.
4 weeks, we
Okay.
have gotten no
all
reports.
right.
Since last
Maybe
meeting.
it's just an aberration then.
Okay, we have not seen any any vendors, mostly was residents, so.
What you may find is at the holidays, we need to do something, some notification to, the UPSs and FedExes, because they often have people who are not the regular drivers
Right,
in the
temps.
routes,
True
and
enough.
who may not know
Yeah.
exactly where they are and what the rules are here.
Mhm.
So probably should have that on a tickle file that when the holiday season comes around, to notify those delivery companies that please pay attention to the posted signs for direction.
And then I think we were looking at putting up the, reinstalling the Allen O'Neill sign and having some type of a ceremony, correct?
We
Yeah.
talked about it.
Roseanne mentioned that Joe has the
So we,
original.
sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, please go ahead.
Is that, they were talking about putting was it here in the community room they were talking about? I can't remember. I think it was here, but it's a huge sign.
Yeah.
So
It's
I think
very large.
the map, you know, about it?
We did see a picture of
Yes.
it. It's a massive
It's
sign.
a master sign,
really
so they're
large.
thinking to do once, how they're doing the street over there, maybe they're gonna put it in a corner over there since it's gonna be more space.
Could that be tied into when they're doing the widening of the street?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they
Yeah,
were
That's
thinking.
right.
You're saying
And
they
some
will
of
put
the
it-
cost of that
Yeah.
could be incorporated into
Exactly, that's what I'm.
what landscaping and other costs will be reimbursed to the Heights when this project is done.
Yeah, I think we should circulate maybe a photo
Yeah,
of the sign to everyone. Then we can have some dialogue as to some ideas for,
I guess my concern if it was over there, is it gonna be confusing to people if they see an Allen
I
O'Neill sign and then we
wait till you
have
see,
we're now
That's
calling the community.
what we're trying to
Heights, so-
figure, that's what we're trying to figure out because it is no space to put in this community room. So it's a matter of where we're going to put it and we'll be able to do the ceremony and everything.
so when we send out, I'll send out a couple of ideas or something maybe with it, and then we can discuss if any of those are amenable.
Well, I guess we should see what the sign looks like.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Let's- all right,
But
let's start that.
it may make sense to tie that in with the work that's going to be done because maybe
Possibly.
there's a different type of way, different scale we should be looking at to get the same job accomplished in
I
that
think,
area.
I think what we're hearing is that we might want to take a look at the sign before we have a discussion about where it might be put.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, and I guess I'm trying to hint that maybe we want to replace that sign with something
Yeah.
And maybe
more
that's
appropriate.
the case.
That certainly could happen, or
Okay. And then I just had, I think we had talked at the last meeting too about some type of a Old Town Hall groundbreaking ceremony at the end of April. Is that still something we are intending to do? And
yeah, I would definitely wait until the springtime. If we did say April, perhaps.
I think and we're saying end of April. so-
Gotcha. Yes, we will get a groundbreaking going.
Sounds like we're talking May, because you've got,
I think more realistic would be May, and that would be timed a little bit closer with the full closing and
And
all
that's
of
fine,
that.
I just want to make sure that we have, and I think everyone will be on the same page, is that we have enough time to invite the
Oh, yeah.
appropriate people and, make it promoted in the press, and,
Yeah.
so that the community understands what's
Mhm.
happening. and-
My concern here is that it is obvious,
If you want to go around so everybody can see the
There you
picture. You'll be able to see how big it is.
there's a sense of the sign. the issue for me is that obviously anybody who drives through that part of town knows that we're moving.
It's already
Okay,
happening, I know.
things are going.
Driven past it myself,
What
I'm sorry.
the purpose of having an opening, having a groundbreaking and a ceremony is to clearly indicate that this is under control, that this isn't just random activities going on, that there's we've started somewhere, we've reached a point where we're now starting the next section, and there is an end in sight. So I think it's important for the town. Because people drive by, and, one minute there's big equipment there tearing things down, and the next minute there's big piles of construction stuff, and, pretty soon we'll be getting delivery, there'll be concrete trucks going in and out of there. To pick a point where we can say, okay, end of demolition, beginning of construction.
And along those lines, is the website going to be going up soon for this?
Yeah, so that's underway, and again, I'll get the logo and name out.
Oh, so we're
Ideas.
waiting for that to
Yeah, they're doing all the background materials for it now,
Okay.
and that way they can plop
put it all
the,
up at once? Okay.
yes,
And
the logo information.
I, at least whenever anyone asks me, I tell them to contact the housing authority, the office here, because they have the most up-to-date information on when will there be wait lists starting and all that.
So
Right.
much interest, you have no idea.
Yeah.
At least
Very
5 calls a day, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
why I was asking, because I got an email from
Yeah, I've
someone
gotten
in town
several, yeah.
asking, and that's what I had reached out and
Yeah, I
asked,
get
like,
called all
you know,
the time.
can we?
Lots and lots and lots of interest.
So,
So once I get that out to you, I think then let's plan on no later than the end of April.
perfect.
Yeah,
All right,
fine
good.
with me. Okay, anything else under old business? Are we up to date?
I think we have the same list. We had talked about a notice in reference to Nicole.
Yeah, I follow up with Ma.
I'm sorry, say it again?
I follow up with Ma this week. He's in the process of making the letter.
Okay.
Teresa, today is her last day, so, well, Thursday.
Thursday.
So I know they're working on place of new management starting next week, so they will hire.
I'm
a
still
person.
in engineers, I'm just.
Not with us no more.
Still not like toast.
I know.
They will have
I was
a new
thinking
manager.
that you were.
I know, I'm gonna fix that.
So we can expect something to go out.
So
next-
the new manager will start next week and the newsletter will go out.
Okay, perfect.
I do think it's something we should acknowledge, that one of the, I guess, decisions made before I got on the commission was to go with have a professional management company run the properties, and going through transition like this is when you really appreciate the fact that you're with a
Yes.
company that has a lot of depth of people who can come in and help out while we're going through the change. And in decades past, that would have been, I'll say the burden of this commission to have filled in, and none of us would have been qualified, qualified and definitely as qualified. So thank you very much for being
Oh,
able to fill in.
Thank you.
And I think everyone should know that we have a really solid company that we're working with on managing the properties, and we'll have that same company with the new Old Town Hall, or Royal Darien as it as well.
I will tell you, because I've been here long enough that I've actually gone through the process both ways. Much, much better off having a company that has the depth and the background to do this appropriately.
I came in on the cusp of a changeover, and it certainly appeared improvement.
Okay, anything else under old business? Moving right along, new business. We got anything that's hanging fire here, anything we need to get on the table? I'm not aware of anything. So Teresa, this is your last meeting with us.
Last meeting.
Can't thank you enough.
Could be a surprise visit.
Appreciate
Yeah.
Next time you have a meeting, if you.
Yeah, sure, come join us. We'll invite you to the Christmas party.
Have they hired a new property manager?
I believe they
Yes.
have, I'm not privy to that information.
Yeah.
I believe they have.
We'll get an email out as quickly as
Yeah.
soon as Matt tells me, I'll let everybody know.
Yeah.
We'll get information. Nothing else under new business, close under new. Residents Association Here at the Heights, have we got anything? Anybody got anything? Yes. Yes.
Okay, I have a question, but first I want to just say, I appreciate being here, just so you know. I do, I've been living here and everything, I've been here 29 years. Well, it was the old place and then the new place, and I just, everything is well run so far as I'm concerned. I don't know if anybody, what everybody else thinks, but anytime anything, you know, I don't really have any problems with my place, but if anything ever comes up, it's taken care of right away. You know what I mean? It's just, it's immediately done and whatever, and everything's always so nice here, and it's taken care of. I mean, when it's gonna snow, I mean, we're taken care of before even Darien takes care of, you know what I mean? It's like everybody's just, it's just very well run, I feel, and I just wanted to say thank you, you know, because I'm living here and I'm happy here, so. And I was grandfathered in and I'm glad I got to stay, so. But I just have one question. I was wondering, because it's been a couple of years now, are we ever going to be able to have grills? We had grills at one point, and then and then it was changed, and we all had to throw out our other ones and get
Statute. Darien statute.
No, I understand, but they brought up something. What happened is something about being 10 feet out.
10 feet.
Okay, so even if it goes past that, you know, our little thing, you go on the grass a little bit. Okay, so I understand that, but that means that we might have to have some kind of extra insurance. And I'm sure that everybody in this place wouldn't mind paying a little extra something if we had to in order to be able to grill, you know, and it's an electric one, you know, they're electric, you know, and just so you know, those electric grills are for inside and outside. And I'm not going to do it inside, but I'm just saying, it's just like we went out to buy these things, and then all of a sudden, after a year or so, they're like, no, we're like, what, you know? So I was just wondering. That's just a downfall.
Okay, so
to me.
I'm just gonna tell you what I know.
Okay.
And I don't make a vote, and I have no say in it.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna give you state statute. State statute says, you have to be 10 feet from the structure. It has to be stored 10 feet from the structure. And if your patio isn't 10 feet, that means you're putting it on a common area.
Right, okay.
Which means every time the lawnmower comes by, it's in the way.
Got it, okay.
So,
But I mean, they have to be plugged in, so they can't be plugged in.
electric is the same statute as the gas, believe it or not.
Okay, all right.
And then you got the upstairs people that can't get in 10 feet away.
No, I know. All right.
We're caught between a rock and a hard place here, in that we have to abide by state statute.
And other residents have asked if the option would be ever to put here in the community room some type of like, you know, where the table is right here, maybe to put a community 2 grills so the whole community can use those 2 grills.
Yeah, especially, that
That's
would be something
another-
nice, and we would all take care of it.
That's another question.
Let's leave that one open, and I think that we can look into it and come back with some thoughts
I appreciate it. Thank you.
on some community growing
Yeah.
areas.
We'll look at
That would
it.
be.
We'll look at it.
Okay, thanks.
It will require, if we were to go in that direction, it would require some very strict rules and regulations. And everybody's got to understand
They have to
that
follow.
they have to play by the rules.
Mhm.
This is not,
Yeah, it's no question about it. It's a big undertaking, but I
and
think
there will be
we'll get back to you.
consequences if they don't play by the rules.
Yeah.
You know.
If I could just say one thing about that, I'm over at Avalon, and over at Avalon, they do have certain grills. They have picnic table and a grill, which serves however many apartments.
I think it's first come, first service, right?
Probably, yes.
First come, first service.
So, I mean, that's, would be.
But the major question is, who does the maintenance?
The maintenance person for the property.
So that's an issue that we have to wrestle with.
Okay.
But if you have, I'm just saying, I mean, if you put out, I'm just saying, if it was able to be down and you put out a letter that said, listen, you know, we want to do this for everybody, but everybody needs to to step up and everything. I mean, I know I would never walk away unless I've cleaned something before you know what I mean? That's just me, of course, but
Yeah, you
I'm
know,
hoping everybody else would want to respect that too, so we can all enjoy it.
I get it, I understand it. I also live in the real world. And
Yeah.
I know,
I
I
have
know.
experience that tells me
Yeah.
we go at these things with the very best of intentions.
Yeah.
And the reality is 99 out of 100 people understand the rules and obey the rules. And it's that one person that louses it up for everybody. And so we will investigate it. We'll look at it. We'll see what can be done. We'll look at the laws. We'll see what's been done in other places. And we'll come back to you with a decision.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's interesting.
Can't do more than that. Anything else for the Heights?
No.
Old Town Hall houses? Anybody got anything?
The only thing I have to say is, as long as I guess it's too late for you to change your mind on the whole project.
Wait a minute. We'll take a look.
I figured the time had come when that wasn't an option, so now we just wait.
Yeah.
So
And I don't know if you've been-
when is the construction supposed to start, right?
Well,
Digging.
the demolition's done.
I know it's the demolition's done, but when are we going to do?
They're gonna start the digging within weeks, as soon as they move around some of
Oh, okay.
the demolition.
They're relocating.
Because
you know,
we've been passing by and just,
You go by
They
there.
all pass by.
I went by yesterday, there's a humongous pile of dirt.
Yeah.
because I hate where I am, because the electric bills are terrible. Got to go down 15 stairs to get to the laundry,
Huh?
down the hill to take the garbage out.
See, you won't have any of those issues.
We're moving.
You have a trash chute,
We are
an elevator.
literally moving as fast.
No
as-
elevator,
You're gonna have, no, this new place, we have trash chutes where you can throw it down from your
Trash
floor
chutes.
and
down.
my shoulder's so sore opening a sliding door, I can't even get it fixed.
We're moving as fast as we possibly can.
Not fast enough for me.
I know. Believe me, it's not fast enough for us.
I can imagine.
Time is money.
You set out so much money, it just, I understand that.
We'd rather get
You
this,
must.
we'd rather be done than still working on it, but we'll go as fast as we
How
can.
do we handle tenant issues in rental? How are tenant issues handled with
Old
our
Town Hall.
renters?
Well, they call our office.
Okay.
Some things we can nudge them along with. Some things like the trash on the bottom of the hill, we can't.
No, that I understand, but you're
But if
saying,
there's
sorry,
something
something about a
broken-
door,
So
not.
maybe-
Have you called
Maybe
them?
there-
Well, you know, it's all, it's like two sliding windows, one in each bedroom. And this one door, I can't even open the window. And I've got to put that photo, what you call that stuff, that can stuff, got to put it on the sliders. It's in cement and I think the wheels are gone.
We are,
Because my son is a thing, he put a new screen door on.
she has been in contact with me for the landlord, and she called me, she has stopped by, once she dropped us a rent, we have talked about it, and we've been in contact with the landlord as well, because he seems to be not helping her as much, but when we signed the lease, they're in charge to, just like the maintenance guys in charge here, so they're in charge, so I explained to her that if he's not getting to these things, and then we're gonna look into maybe Joe needs to help out, or we need to be worked out with the landlord.
I was just curious as to how the troubleshooting.
Yeah, so they
Because I
kind
know
of-
here,
They've got no
if somebody has
firewall.
an issue, they contact.
It's the only window I've
So
got.
normally, if there's any service request, because they're in a different property, they will contact whoever the landlord is, and the lease, everybody has a copy of the lease. Now, if the landlord is not helping them with the service, like she's been having this issue for quite a while, we're talking to the landlord, then we are jumping to help her.
See, the superintendent in that building can't help me because some of them are individually sold.
Right,
So the owner
It's
is
a owner,
responsible.
correct.
yeah, so we have a situation where
Is that not a
an
firewall
owner
that
bought a
you
unit
can't get
and
that
they chose to
door
rent
open?
the unit.
Right.
And so, you know, they have several.
I don't know, I
ways.
don't know the fire regulations.
I think it comes under fire regulations too, doesn't it?
We will contact the landlord again, because I know you told me about it before, we told me, I spoke to you that if he didn't get to the service request,
I put two new handles on it because they've got to push it and they're coming right off the door.
yeah, he's supposed to be fixing it.
All right.
No.
I'll contact him.
Okay, anything else?
I think that's all.
That being the case, I have a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing tenant and contractual issues?
I called him, he was looking at the time,
Second?
and I was
So
waiting.
we're adjourned.
We are adjourning the public session, we are going to move into executive session, we are not going to come back out to vote on anything, we have no issues to vote on.